let me tell you about the time and the day that I died. I had a memory when I was 9 years old, and I remember my parents fighting in the middle of the night. My older sister, Diane, told me to go in the house or people would hear me. So I ran in the house. I ran to the bathroom screaming still, just couldn't stop, and got down on my knees and closed my eyes. I put my hands together and said, God, if you exist, if you love me, you'll take me away from this life. Now I'm gonna count to 10, and when I open my eyes, I wanna be gone. You hear me? And I opened my eyes, and I was still there.
On top of that, your father also was an alcoholic, right?
Yeah.
And he beat your mother. So you had to live with that abuse as well. What kind of a scar has that left in terms of dealing with that? What did you do as a child as you saw your father beating your mother?
The only thing I knew how to do was to just stand there and be frightened, and to go to school with that trauma, to go to school being hungry, to go to school smelling.
How did you rise out of that anger of the injustice?
Oh my God. I don't necessarily feel like I'm out of the anger. He left me right there. So when I gained vision and strength and forgiveness, I can remember what it means to be a child who was hungry. I could remember what it means to be in trauma. I could remember poverty, alcoholism. I could remember what it means to be a child who dreams and sees no physical manifestation of it. I could remember because I lived it. I was there. We would go to bed and hear rats killing the pigeons in the roof. I mean, loud, squealing noises. We would wrap our sheets around our necks at night because the rats would crawl through holes in the wall, and you could hear them eating our toys at night and jumping on top of our beds. I always say that I was a bedwetter until I was 14. And I did everything to get food. I've stolen for food. I've jumped in huge garbage bins with maggots for food. And I sacrificed a childhood for food and grew up in immense shame. The one thing that I learned when I was poor, and this is something that people just need to say out loud, okay, is that you are invisible. Nobody sees you. You know, they say that the two most important days in a person's life is the day you were born and the day you discover why you were born. I absolutely knew I wanted to be an actor because I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to dream big and make a mark somehow. What is that one element that literally helps that kid who has nothing achieve ultimate success? What is that one factor? And they always say it's one person who was a mentor. I saw Miss Cicely Tyson in the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, and I saw a physical manifestation of a dream. I saw something that I could put my feet on the floor when I got out of bed in the morning, and I had a passion that could drive me. Just drive, that's it. But at 28, I crashed and burned because emotionally I didn't get out. But as much as I didn't want to be my mother's daughter, I was very much my mother's daughter. I was still very much traumatized by the past. I very much was that little girl running from 8 to 9 boys who were always calling me, you black, ugly nigger. You're ugly, you're black, you're this. It still very much was internalized in me, and it manifested itself through low self-esteem, through bad relationships, with not believing in myself.
How did you get out of that darkness into the light, into the dream?
Two things, okay? Number one, there's a difference between having a goal and having a purpose. It's a vision for a future that is living a life that is heroic. The other part of it is understanding your mortality, that you have a dash of time And what do you want to do? How do you want to run this leg of your race?
Everybody in this room, I'm sure at some point has gone through something in their lives and you've survived it. But not only did you survive it, you took that trauma, that hurt, that revelation, or whatever it was, and you used it to connect, to give, to influence.
I have a picture of you.
Oh my God.
What message you have for that girl?
I have a message for that girl. History is not the past. It is the present. The world is broken because we're broken. Who said that all of who you are has to be good? All of who you are is who you are. How about owning it? Owning all of it. The good and the bad. Own every heroic deed and experiences, even if they were traumatic. Own it. And then you seize the sword. No one and nothing can be great unless it costs you something. The living life for something bigger than yourself is a hero's journey. You have only to follow the thread of the hero path. Your existence is an amalgamation of every triumph, every hard-won battle, and yet here you are, privileged, blessed, to do what?
What do you know about the multiverse?
What's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? It's your host, Bad Ty Bricks, here with another episode of the Multiverse Podcast. I am super excited because we got to celebrate another woman this week. And it's always great to be able to celebrate our women, and extra great when we can celebrate our Black women. Viola Davis is a queen. She deserves to be celebrated as such. And so this week on the Multiverse, we thought it our right, and almost we needed to do it. It needed to be done. She didn't get nominated at the Oscars for The Woman King, which I think is a travesty. But for all of the things that she does, and the amazing actress and amazing woman that she is, we want to just go ahead and spotlight her this week and give her her roses and all of her flowers, because you deserve it, Viola Davis. Now, if you are joining us from YouTube or our audio podcast, you are about to be welcome to the multiverse in the greatest fashion, because I have a team of the greatest. I don't, you know what? I've said the greatest too many times already. You know what? Let's get into it. Let's jump right into it. Let's see who we got on the roster. We got, let me see. Let's grab this guy. Oh, who's this guy?
The greatest.
The greatest. Introduce yourself, man.
As you heard, I'm the greatest. I'm Tyrone Thornhill. It's very nice to be here. Can't wait to talk about all this craziness. And real quick, Viola Davis is amazing. She and inspirational. Damn. I mean, I like, all I did today was brush my teeth so far, but I feel like I really accomplished something after listening to Viola Davis tell me about myself. So thank you.
Yes, we all thank Viola for all of the wise words. But I still got more people to bring on, man. Hold on, let's bring the first lady. Hey, First Lady.
Hello, good morning. Wait, yeah, good morning. My days are running together. Right. Hi, everyone. I'm Holly Noon. I am the one and only female on the Multiverse Podcast. And yeah, that was a very motivational TED Talk from Viola Davis. So I feel like I need to get going today after listening to her.
Right. I'm glad I came across it, and I was like, oh, we gotta play this. Like, Viola, you doing it over here, sister. All right, but with the team, it's not complete. We're not done. If you thought we were done, we got more. Well, we got a little more.
Damn.
What it do? As you can see by the backhanded compliment, I am not the female of the group. I am not the greatest. I am just the shortest member of the group. It is me, the one and only Mitty, and the only one that can have that name because it's true. Okay, I appreciate y'all having me in your household. However you hearing me, seeing me, however you doing it.
Facts, man, and it's good to have the full team. I feel like Voltron, and we have now formed. So guys, this week on the Multiverse podcast, we are going to be discussing a docuseries that I think was very interesting, and I'm glad that Holly put us on to it. And yeah, it's going to be a fun discussion. But before we get into that discussion, I thought it'd be great to bring on a special guest. Now, this guest has been to the show before, and so now we kind of feel like she's family. So you know, you got to get your own cups now. We don't go anymore. We don't open the doors. Nope, you just come on in because you're family. So without further ado, let's bring that family member on because we haven't seen her in a while, but it's great to have her back. Let's give her a big round of applause. Let's give her one time for the one time. Let's bring her on. There she is, the one and only. Go ahead and tell the people who you are.
So I'm Sarah Kinbar, and yeah, it's been a minute since I've been on, and I'm really excited actually just to be in the same space as the four of you. I have all kinds of ideas, thoughts, and memories associated with all four of you, and I could actually do a whole podcast segment just talking about each of you in good ways.
Well, you know what? We might hold you to that. Maybe not.
Oh my gosh, please, yes.
We might bring you back so you can talk all the good stuff about us. I love hearing good things about myself sometimes. But it is great to have you back, Sarah, to join us for this great conversation. But let's jump right into it, man, because I know the people have been waiting, and I don't like to keep them waiting. So this doc that we're talking about, if you weren't aware that this thing existed, is none other than the Murdaugh Murders, a Southern Scandal. It is now playing on Netflix for your viewing pleasure. Holly, let's jump right into the recap. Can you just kind of give us like a breakdown of what went on in this docuseries?
Yeah, so high level, we're going to talk about murder, scandal, and money, okay? Which are like the three big like words when it comes to anything, you know, criminal, draws your interest. So basically, we're talking about a Southern family that has basically been running this town for 100 years, like 3 generations. They've been running this town. But everywhere this family goes, the Murdaugh family, they are linked to murders, scandals around stealing funds from the law firm, from their business. But ultimately, why this is like taking on national attention is because the mother and the son were murdered on the family property. And so, of course, there's all these allegations, but ultimately the father, Alex, was charged. And so the documentary follows the family and how we get to this place today with where we're at with Alex Murdaugh.
With Alex Murdaugh. Yes, thank you for that, Holly. Yes, as Holly stated, the docuseries follows the Murdaugh family. It kind of starts off discussing, well, not really discussing, but following the children of the Murdaughs. Well, in this case, the child of the Murdaugh family and his group of friends, which kind of they all had their girlfriends. It seems like, you know, a storybook kind of situation where, you know, like we're all best friends. We all date the best friends of our girlfriends, and you know, like it's almost it's too good to be true already, right? But the story kind of, you know, takes a turn really quick when you're watching the docuseries, is because you're following young Paul Murdaugh. You know what I'm saying? So Paul is a very privileged child. You know, he comes from an established family and in a very reputable with a very reputable name, and he seems to fit the description of a person that would kind of like roll like that. You know, that he has this feeling like he's better than other people, and you know they start talking about that you know, as soon as the doc gets started, they're talking about how he's like, oh, this is my boat, and no, nobody drives my boat but me, this is mine. And as we kind of follow what's going on, we realize that the kids are drinking, they're underage, they have a boat, they're out late at night, all the things that you think you know, kids their age shouldn't be doing, but they apparently have no supervision. So they wind up going out on the boat late at night, drinking, intoxicated, and you know, the worst possible thing imagined happens. The boat crashes. When the boat crashes, someone doesn't make it out of the water in time. That someone is young Mallory Beach. Mallory Beach was the girlfriend of Paul's best friend, Anthony Cook, I think is his last name. Um, like again, they all grew up together. They all were like childhood best friends, and you know, like I said, all of the boys. I think it was Connor Cook, Anthony Cook, and Paul Murdaugh, which was the Murdaugh, Alec Murdaugh's son. This was another instance of them just kind of being able to go out and enjoy themselves, but taking it a little too far, and the young girl lost their life. As we watch the docu series, it kind of just speeds on into the hospital. Now everybody's made it out of the boat. We're in the hospital, and this is our introduction to Alec Murdaugh. Now, I want to kind of, since everybody here has seen the doc, everybody here has seen the doc, correct?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Tyrone, when we encounter Alec Murdaugh, he comes into the hospital based on the doc and really asserts himself as the person who knows what's going on and needs to be the mediator between law enforcement and the children. When you saw this take place immediately after, because at this point the young girl's still missing, no one's found her, she hasn't been pronounced dead, or anything like that. He comes right in and immediately starts getting the kids to kind of get their stories together. When you saw this action, what did you think immediately was going on?
It looks like you've done this before, sir. I would say that, yeah, it looks like dude went straight into cover up mode. It wasn't even necessarily like tell the kids to get their story straight. It was get this story straight. Here's the story, the way we want you to tell it, and the way we know it's going to work out best for our little boy. So he started moving like a criminal immediately, and you can tell that it was not his first rodeo. And you're like, okay, this dude is going to work immediately. So yeah, that's immediately I was like, cannot trust these people. Plus, that dude's got too many names: Alec, Alex, Richard, Alexander. Like that's too many names for one person. Only person that gets that many names is Minnie.
Fact.
Minnie, when you also encountered Alec and Randolph, by the way, because I think Randolph was his father, if I'm not mistaken, and who was a former solicitor for that county. Which, by the way, guys, is literally 10 minutes away from me. Probably 10, maybe 15 minutes away from me.
Oh, no way.
Better be careful.
Yeah,
all that shit.
I live in Beaufort County. So I've been to that hospital, Beaufort Memorial Hospital. I've been to the courthouse that they showed on the docuseries. After I saw him, I was like, yo, I've seen this dude before. Like I've seen him before all of this stuff happened. I saw the guy before. I wouldn't have remembered him. He wasn't my attorney, but I saw him in the courtroom before. But I was telling Minnie before we came on air, I've seen his kid before too. I've seen him like there's a place here in Beaufort, near the marina, where a lot of kids and college kids go. It's like a kind of like a little restaurant district. They got like 2 or 3 restaurants, and then after hours they'll open up the outside, and it'll be like a party spot for the young kids. So when I first moved here, I went to that spot, and like you can't mistake that kid. Like he just, you can't mistake him. There's not a whole lot of redheads walking around like that red, like with your hair being that red. There's not a whole lot of kids walking around like that. So I remembered seeing him before. I don't know why I remembered him until I saw the thing, but I remembered him, remembered all of their crew, because they all were at this spot when I was hanging out. So I was like, oh wow, it's crazy. A small world.
Like, that's a very drunk 12-year-old.
Yeah, he does look fairly young. But my next question to you guys is this, because I think this is really important. If, as parents, because I know Sarah, you're a parent. If this were your kid, how would you have reacted in this situation? And you can take either role. You can do the role of Mallory if you want to take that role, or Paul, if either of those roles.
I just want to preface all of this by saying I don't trust the narrative voice of the documentarian, and I do not believe that the way that the story is told is a true story. I think it's told without any accountability, and that they chose to focus on certain things and leave a lot out because it created an exciting, dramatic experience for viewers. And that's what most documentaries do. That said, as a parent of any of those children, first of all, I would be livid. I think it is outrageous for kids to be left to their own devices, to indulge in copious amounts of alcohol. And I'm sure there was plenty of drug abuse as well, and driving around a boat in the middle of the night. It's a no for all of that. I would feel guilty if my child died that way or was involved in that, because as a parent, I have responsibility for my teenage child's whereabouts. That's crazy to me. Like, who are these kids? Like, what are they doing out here? I mean, that whole setup was primed for death.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, throughout the doc, other parents were talking about the Murdaugh kids and how they were left to their own devices. There was no...
All of them were, though. All of those kids were left to their own devices. If I saw a kid like Paul, who is clearly a toxic narcissist, just like his dad. I mean, you could probably tell he was a narcissist when he was in kindergarten. My daughter would not be dating that kid. I would do whatever it took to make sure that didn't happen, including moving. Like, all these kids were left to run around doing crazy stuff. It's nuts.
Yeah, it does seem very strange that they were able to move around the way that they were able to move around. I mean, we're talking about it's fairly late. It was pitch black out. You know, they're out with alcohol. They're on a boat. You know, no one has any control over the situation. Paul is pretty much all of the kids basically said that Paul was already, you know, acting really weird before they even got in the boat. So the fact that they still got in the boat with him, you know, this is like, you know, normal behavior for this guy. And based on all accounts, like, I've talked to a couple of people who knew of him, maybe not knew him personally, but knew of him. And I'm not hearing any positive things about the kid. No one's over here like, well, you know, he got a bad rap, and, you know, he was really a good kid. And I haven't heard anybody say that, not one person. And so that, you know, that like you said, he's giving off a lot of toxic narcissistic traits. And I think, you know, for the most part, he was on one that night. Put it mildly. Now I'm gonna pose that question to you as well, Holly, because you also have kids. If you got that phone call late at night, and let's, for the sake of argument, say that your kids represent Paul, the one who's done this, this heinous act. What would be your response in that instance once you obviously find out that he's alive?
Oh, yikes. This is kind of hard because I feel like I can't imagine my kids ever, because I mean, discipline is important in my household, but I understand. But if I knew that Paul was alive, my immediate reaction would just be to like probably fight him, but just be like, what did you do? Try to like start, not to say like damage control, but trying to figure out how I can like reconcile with the other families like involved in the situation. Like, what can I do to be supportive to them? I'm so sorry my son messed up like, I think I would just forget my son. Okay, you're alive, but what about everybody else? Like, I would just try to, try to comfort everybody else and then deal with him later. Because he would not be going anywhere for a very long time if I was being a parent, which I don't take that his parents were. So
yeah, they were definitely playing friend roles, and for sure.
Was it friend roles, or do you think it was just they are just filled with so much power, or that's how it's perceived, that they just were like, we'll get it handled and bye, like we'll make it go away at some point. And just, I don't know.
I mean, again, I don't know. I don't really know them personally, but I feel like anytime because there's video and there's photos of them drinking together, like that, like the father and the mother and the girlfriend and the son and the friends, and yeah, they were playing friends roles. Like they're like, if you know your son, first of all, he's driving a big ass truck, like that looks like it might be his, might not be, but you got the boat, you go in, you're using your brother's ID. Like, this is all like this is not something that you just orchestrated overnight. This is something you do on a regular.
Like drinking at the family table. They're drinking at family dinner and stuff. The girl was like,
yeah,
I was surprised and I never drank with my family, and like that whole thing. So it was, that was an established pattern of behavior. Yep. I mean, they had a whole other name for drunk Paul. So like, this was not like some off the reservation shit. Like, this was just, they're like, here's Timmy's here. Like, that's some shit where you're just like, okay, this is just regular behavior for y'all.
Yeah. Alec, from all accounts, Alec would go buy them alcohol. Like, if the kids came over to the house and wanted to hang out, Dad would go out and buy them alcohol. Oh, you guys, just get wasted. And I saw a photo, and I should have put it up, but I didn't. But there's a photo of him taking like Jello shots from the girlfriend, from Paul's girlfriend. Paul's girlfriend's in a bikini, and giving him a Jello shot in his mouth. And I'm like, wow, this is where we're at. So that,
but he's an attorney. Like, he's an attorney. He could be disbarred. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the amount of power, knowing that your family has like infiltrated this legal system, that like you're doing all this illegal stuff because you don't think you're going to get caught, or no one's going to persecute you because of who you are. So
speaking of who they are, it's kind of hard to get disbarred when the bar is your family.
that shit looks like the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Like, that shit is so white.
This is the club, guys. This is nobody's getting fired, nobody's getting indicted, nobody's getting arrested. Nothing's happening to these guys. We're talking about 6th, 7th, 8th generation, 9th generation.
They look so happy.
Murdaughs, you know what I'm saying? And as we watch the doc, we started to see that there was this growing level of fear amongst all of the parents, all of the kids. Shit, it was basically anybody without the name Murdaugh was scared. And that said a lot to me when I was watching the doc. That one lady even compared them to the mafia. She was like, "Yeah, they're like they can disappear your body, they can disappear someone." And I'm like, "Damn, people say disappear someone. You know, that's kind of, you know, that's extra." When they start talking about, yo, you know, they could disappear you. That's next level. Like you're talking about CIA, FBI. You know what I mean? Like that when nobody gets disappeared in the hood. We don't. I've never heard that word used in the hood. Disappeared. Nah. Nobody. No. You either get lost or and when I say get lost, I mean you leave or you get left, and that's about it. But there is definitely no disappearing nobody where I'm from. So I have another question that I thought was really anxious. I mean, not anxious, but really a good question to ask you guys, and that was basically who was the Murdaugh family in your city, if you had a Murdaugh family. Minnie, you lived in Los Angeles, in the mean streets. Yo, was there ever a Murdaugh family in your wherever you were from?
No. We had checks and balances, so nobody could really be that above anyone else. I mean, gangbanging was gangbanging, but other than that, if you had a long history in your family of it, then yeah, people looked at you as if you were a hierarchy than anyone else. But it wasn't like the controlling of the actual system. Like they were controlling the system to a point. You know, if it wasn't because of that young lady and a couple other things, they already were getting away with a lot, like because of the system. Like ain't nobody in South Central where something go down and the cops is like, oh yeah, don't tell them, don't go ahead, don't tell them who it was. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not ever gonna happen. The cops in South Central ain't not gonna look out for the gangbangers. It's not gonna happen. So they had power enough that the cops themselves, as soon as they found out they were involved, they were like, oh shit, we gotta tell them before we even tell 911. That's that's ultimate power. And when it comes to a small town, and I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. To be honest with you, up front, like closer up front. Of course, we all know it exists, obviously, but I don't think I've ever seen anything to that magnitude of that. You have even the cops under your fingernail. That's insane. And to bring up like accountability and stuff too, if you think about it, the place. I don't care how many fake IDs you use. The place obviously knew you guys were underage, and they've been doing it multiple times. So it's like you have the power to even businesses are turning away their eye, like, oh well, you know we can get not only you can get this bar, but this business could get shut down. We can get sued, all kinds of stuff, and they're still looking to the other way. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, apparently that name Murdaugh rings bells. Like if I could see that gas station clerk grabbing the card, seeing Murdaugh and giving it back. Like I'm not even about to play. I'm not even about to do this because
Right.
when you have the power to manipulate the police without manipulating the police, like if that makes any sense, like that's literally what he had the ability to do. He came in, he was like, all right, so my son wasn't driving. Now you have one, two, three, four, five other people that were on that boat that all say that your son was driving, but you can come in and tell the police that he wasn't, and then that's it. And that's what we saw in the doc. He came in, was like, all right, you guys, this is what you just say you don't know nothing. I'll take care of everything. I'm gonna take care of you. 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 And everybody just kind of fell in line, even though they knew it wasn't wrong. I mean, knew it was wrong. Everybody kind of just listened to what he said because he was a Murdaugh. Now, as we move forward in the case and we start seeing everything unfold, we realize that young Paul isn't really gonna get nothing but a smack on the wrist. Like his case was still pending 2 years after the girl's body was found. Like he still had not been charged. I mean, he had been charged, but he had not been convicted of the crime 2 years after the girl's body had been found. So as he's waiting to go to trial for that case, or whatever the ruling is going to be, the unimaginable happens. Paul is killed unexpectedly. Him and his mom are both killed, and I remember when that happened over here. I honestly remember it coming on the news. I didn't pay too much attention to it because people die and people get shot out here all the time, and it's usually hunting or a brother and a cousin, and it's a lot of that going on out here. People kill family all the time out here, believe it or not. And so I didn't pay too much attention to it, but after watching this doc and then seeing how that was handled, I've never before in my life seen anything like that before. You don't have two murders happen and there's no real investigation. Like that to me speaks volumes again of the level of pull that this Murdaugh family had to be able to not have anyone investigated. Sarah, I know you watched the doc. So when you saw these two people get killed and the reporters are coming in saying, we were looking into something else and we came across this. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't even like, like the main thing going on. Like it was news that there was murders, but there was no movement going on in the case. Like, what did you think when you heard that as a reporter?
This is a community that's living outside of the law. I think if we did a genealogical study on the Murdaugh family, we would find that they emigrated from Scotland, that they were a family of farmers, that they lived in a totally agricultural, isolated region where they lived as they pleased and did what they wanted. And there was like a very clannish way of doing things. And I think they imported that to this little town here in the United States and recreated that. And it's in their DNA. And I think that Scottish people are very stubborn. They're bullish. They're going to do what they're going to do. That's my experience in life. And that these guys basically, created a little tribe for themselves and were left to their own devices, totally outside of the law.
Yeah, totally outside of the law. You can say that again. So now things are starting to pile up now. Now we have Alec. Part of the death of young Mallory Beach, and now his son and his wife were murdered. So things are piling up. The paperwork's piling up. The bodies are piling up. Everything's piling up. And we're still not getting any answers. The Mallory Beach situation has still not been resolved. And now here we are with the murdered son and the wife. And again, another situation that is not being resolved. So yeah, living outside of the law.
And look, there's gender inequity as well. If you look at who was murdered, there's a lot of females in the mix. There's a lot of females that were murdered. And then there's one guy who was gay, who I think that in that community would have been, gendered a certain way, right? And also, like, if you saw the pictures of him and stuff, he was proud to exhibit a more effeminate affect. And it's just very interesting to me in this community that it seemed easier to silence any questions around the deaths of anyone that wasn't a man's man.
Yeah. Speaking of the death, because you kind of spoke to it, the individual was their housekeeper.
Yeah.
Of over 20 years.
Yeah.
I think her last name was Satterfield. And basically the wife, Maggie, I think was her name, Maggie Murdaugh.
Yeah.
She called the police one day. I don't know if I'd say hysterical, but she was a little riled up. But on the and called the 911 to let them know that this 58-year-old, I think she was 58 years old, 58-year-old woman fell down the steps, hit her head, and was pretty much unconscious. The 911 dispatcher asked, all the questions they could ask. It seemed as though there was a male voice on the other end of the phone at that point, which I do believe was confirmed to be Buster Murdaugh. And he basically seemed a little agitated that he was being asked so many questions in the midst of this lady being, unconscious and bleeding. Supposedly, based on what the doc says, the lady was allegedly tripped over some dogs and fell off of the porch, and ultimately fell to her death. She died. This was another case that was kind of swept under the rug and considered an accidental death. Later on, as the doc continues, you find out that the Murdaughs are that's not all that the Murdaughs have been involved in.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, there's more. The individual that you were referring to, his name is Stephen Smith. He was a young boy that went to school with the Murdaugh boys, and yeah, he was from the documentary. It was established that he was gay, and that there were allegations going around the town that Buster Murdaugh and him possibly were having a relationship. One night, I guess one night, late night, as the doc stated, he runs out of gas. I guess he may or may not have called Buster for a ride based on their relationship, and at that point things kind of become hazy because there's all these allegations that come out from all of these different sources throughout the city, all pointing to Buster as being the person who caused this young man to lose his life. Even with all that being said, and all of these different people making these allegations, the police never interviewed Buster, never charged him with anything, never brought him in and interviewed him. The process that it just lit. They said that this boy got hit by a car when there was no evidence of him being hit by a car. So again, yeah, the Murdaugh family had the power and the range to be able to have all of these deputies, sheriffs under their thumb. And it's very crazy how far they were able to get with it. But this is Buster. This is young Buster Murdaugh. They all look so evil. I don't know. It's just
they look like they're doing something wrong in every picture. Like right now, he's farting so much in that room, and he's like, nobody knows it's me.
Like he probably doesn't even care. I'm a Murdaugh. You just smell that, buddy. But yeah, you're right. They always look like they're up to something, and it's a sad case. But I at this point in the doc, I was just like, I was blown. I to be honest with you guys, I couldn't even believe what I was watching at this point. Because I've seen movies that have shown us the lack of trust that we can have with the judicial system, based on the things that have happened years and years and years ago to people that look just like me and you, and and so on and so forth. But to see it happen in this day and age at this level this magnitude, with bodies just continuing to pile up, was just like, I was like, wow, like how does one establish this? And then I started watching the other doc that came on HBO Max, and it basically lets you know that they you know, like you said, Sarah, they established themselves. They came over and established themselves in this area before anybody else did. And it seems as though there were like,
well, the Native American people probably take exception to that.
Well, I'm sure that, yeah, I'm sure that's the case. But like, but what I mean is basically they came over and took over that area of Hampton before anybody else did. Them and another family, and I don't remember that name. Do you remember their name, Holly? It started with an L. It's like a French name. The ones that own the Palmetto Bank.
No, I don't remember, but I know they were like, they're like indicted, not indicted, but they're pending.
Oh yeah, they're part of
too.
Yeah, they're part of that whole. Yeah, they're part of that whole indictment. This family owned the Palmetto State Bank in South Carolina, which is I think just a South Carolina affiliated bank, but it's all over South Carolina. So
it's Lafitte is the last name.
Lafitte, yes. So that those two families basically ran and run Hampton from what I understand. But after seeing all of this, I didn't even know what to do at this point. I'm like, I live in this city. I don't know, like I've never heard any of this, but I guess I'm not in those avenues or running out of those paths. But I think my last question for this whole thing is if there were a Murdaugh, whatever, we've said it so many times, Murdaugh. If there was a Murdaugh in your city and you became acquainted with a family like this, would you befriend them or would you run? And I mean, there are a lot of pluses and minuses to that, but I'd like to hear from each of you. Would you join the Murdaugh clan or would you run for the hills? Tyrone, I can tell by your face you want to answer first.
Yeah, I typically stay away from the word clan, especially being from the South. Whenever I hear the word clan, that's usually a red flag, and that's a family full of red flags. I feel like somebody who grew up, hovering around that poverty line. You really only have one role in a group like that, and that is Patsy. So that would be a hard no for me, and we would have no business. And even if I did ask, like, let's say I really wanted to hang out with those folks, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, can I go on the boat?" He'd, nope. Absolutely not. I would have been in my room hating the fact that my parents wouldn't let me do anything. And then, we would have saw that a girl died on a boat and I would have been like, shit, that was right again.
How about you, Sarah? Would you hang out with the Murdaughs or would you run for the hills?
I would infiltrate and I would burn them down from the inside out. Absolutely.
Hey.
That's the kind of thing I could really get behind and sink my teeth into.
That would have been a whole other documentary to watch, and that would have been really fun.
This documentary. I mean, like the underpinnings of the plot that I would put together over 2 or 3 years, and then all of a sudden the whole thing goes up in flames. Oh, it would be amazing.
How about you, Holly?
That's a negative. I'm too blessed to be stressed. Like I cannot. Like I just am like. I feel like just if I'm standing next to them, something bad's gonna happen to me. Like they're just one of those things. Like Tyrone said, red flags. I'm gonna run away. I'm trying to stay young forever because they're not aging too well. Life is not working out how they had planned.
All those secrets coming out of your skin like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about you, Minnie?
Just like Sarah, I am half Caucasian. So just like Sarah, I will be Tekashi in their ass. I will be joining and I will be Tekashi the shit out of them. I'm going to go ahead and look, listen, I'll even join in the fuckery. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure they think that I'm with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes!
As soon as it gets too good, ooh, they all go to jail. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have video evidence, everything.
We're doing this. We're moving there. We're moving there and we're doing
We're gonna
this.
infiltrate. We're gonna infiltrate all the way in.
We'll do a memorial show for y'all.
Yeah, I was about to say y'all
fall
are
down
gonna
the
wind up.
steps.
Yeah,
Y'all
y'all
watch
are
out for
definitely
dogs.
I'm gonna be a martyr.
dead.
They're gonna have
It's
to
gonna be
martyr me.
dead.
Tyler, what about you?
I'm hanging out with him. I'm not even going to sit here in front. I'm not even going to hold you. I'm hanging out with him and I'm kicking it and I'm not faking nothing. I'm chilling and all of that. And listen, I'm looking at it like this. If I got a free get out of jail free card forever.
Yeah, keep it in your pocket.
Stop it. Did you say forever? You mean I can do whatever I want and get away with anything? I'm not even. See, the crazy thing is, I'm not killing nobody. I'm not gonna do any of that. You know, I'm gonna
until they frame you. Until they frame you.
Say, are you a white man in this hypothetical?
I'm not telling no secrets. I'm not telling. They'll be like, yo, we could trust Ty. He's not telling where none of the bodies is. I'm not telling nothing. I'm like, listen, all I know is I'm gonna have enough evidence on them, like y'all, but it's gonna be like, I ain't gonna have to use this unless you make me use this, Alec. Now I don't want to have to use this, but if you do, I'm gonna use it. But I'll keep it in a place where they know, like, yo, like we can't do nothing to him because if that evidence gets out, it's gonna ruin us. But yeah, I've never seen anything like this before. And I grew up north where we had real mafia. Like there was real mafia dudes and real Chinese like gangsters and real Jamaican gangsters. Like there's real teams of people that really will hurt you. But it never was like that. It was never like you walked around the streets like scared. Like the people were walking around this town scared just to like talk out against these people, knowing that they were doing the injustices that they were doing.
They saw Timmy walking up with the hands all spread out. They were like, I don't want any part of this shit.
No problem. No problems. Like, I mean, dude, like when I saw how everybody was reacting, like when you're if Cooper, well, I think not, what's his name? Cooper? I think his name's Cooper. Cooper Cook. His father, how he reacted, I was like, what's up with you? Like when he was sitting there saying they wanted my son to say he did it. And he called me before he went to my son. And he was like, "Hey, buddy, I'm gonna take care of this." And he was like, "Okay, Alec." And that was that. And I never heard him say, "I told my son to tell them, I wasn't driving." No, he did. He never called it. He never got to see his son and told his son any of that. So I was just like, so you were complicit too. Like you were going right along with it too. All of their parents. Even this guy right here, who I felt so bad for him, but then I was like, he was I can't even, this guy right here.
Mallory's dad.
Mallory's dad. I felt so bad for that dude because he couldn't even say a word without just sounding like his whole thing. And I just was like, dang, I feel your pain, man. I really feel your pain. As a father, I know he's taking it probably the hardest, because he feels like his job was to protect his daughter above all things. And so now he's powerless in this situation. You're up against the Murdaughs, and you got to basically take it and just keep on moving, man. Ugh. But anyway.
Well, there's that pending lawsuit from the boat crash. I think from the civil side. From the civil side. Because, I mean, there's boat insurance. So I'm just curious, like, I'm sure they're trying to get, not to say financial compensation is going to make everything better, but, I mean, it's definitely owed.
Yeah.
In this situation.
I wonder where they're going to get it from, though. Like, because he already owes 4.3, well, for sure owes 4.3 million to clients that he took money that he admitted to taking. So and then they're saying that he they hid funds. They don't know that that he even has this money anymore. I mean, these Murdaughs are they've been doing this for a very long time. So I'm very sure that once they figured up he's caught, they were like, okay, let's go ahead and start wiping out the bank accounts. Let's do all of that and get all of that stuff. But here's some breaking news. As of an hour ago, the local news reported that Stephen Smith, the one who was determined to have been a hit and run, has his original hit and run designation has been changed, and now it has been filed as a homicide. So they are doing an investigation into the death of Stephen Smith. So that is good news. I got one thing to play for you guys, and then we'll get on out of here very, very quickly. This I thought was telling, and I'll play it for you guys and see what you guys think. Let's get it up here on the screen. There.
Let's go ahead and head on to the bathroom and see if simpler is really simpler, and see if simpler can get rid of all this white.
Again, I respect this court. I'm innocent. I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my wife, Maggie, and I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my son, Paw.
Well, and it might not have been you. It might have been the monster you become when you take 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 opioid pills. Maybe you become another person. I've seen that before. The person standing before me was not the person who committed the crime, though it's the same individual. We'll leave that at that. Before announcing sentence on these cases, with regard to all of the other pending cases, are any of them here in Colleton, or I'm sure some of them are?
Yes, sir.
Half of them, or?
I don't have that in front of me, but there are a substantial number of charges here. There's some in Hampton, Orangeburg, Beaufort, Allendale. There may be others I'm not thinking of right now.
We might have worn out our welcome here in Colleton. They have been, and I'll take this opportunity to thank Sheriff Hill and all of the court officials and really everyone I've met and dealt with while here in Colleton County. Just been great. But without any delay, we're going to schedule some of the other matters. I know Mr. Marpootlian's scheduling is complicated, and you've sacrificed quite a bit to be able to be here defending Mr. Murdaugh, as well as the Attorney General's office, with all the other many things and obligations you have. And to be able to have the Attorney General here, Alan Wilson, for the period of time that he's devoted to being here along with everyone else, it's been quite a sacrifice. But there are other victims whose cases deserve to be heard. And this case has jumped some of those other cases, perhaps jumped it because of this case resulting in an assault on the integrity of the judicial system in our state, law enforcement in our state, even during this trial, the law enforcement have been maligned for the past 5 or 6 weeks by one who had access to the wheels of justice, to be able to deflect the investigation. And as the evidence is pointed out in this case, the looming storm that Mr. Waters talked about.
All right, I want to stop it right there, right? Because the reason I played this is because did anybody else pick up what the judge just said about the attorney general being there and kind of see the little slight that he kind of threw there? Did anybody else pick up on that?
Yeah, he said when he was like he overwhelmed his welcome. He overstayed his welcome already.
Nah, it's not
like
that he said he overstated. Basically, what he was saying is he said the attorney general. He said it's he did it in such a very classy way, but he said, it's great to have you here, for this case, despite the fact that there are more important cases that need to be heard and dealt with. That like I see that you guys jumped over those cases and jumped to this case because of the fact that it's dealing with in the judicial system and the injustices and the fact that the all of the stuff that's been going on with the police force and everything like that. But that was yet still a slight. He threw it right at the attorney general, like, "Oh, you got time to be here for this shit," and you like. Yeah, but you're going to just totally bypass all of the more important cases. That's what I caught. I was like, oh, the judge is really saying what he feels right now. Yeah, and that's not often that you get that, where there's a kind of clash. This is where you have a good justice, a good judicial official, who does things properly, voicing his discontent with the system and how the system is being run. That's what I heard. Tyrone, am I hearing things wrong here, man? Because I know you are a great listener. You can pick up on stuff. So what'd you get?
I think that's a fair kind of reading of that. Although I do hesitate to put too much faith in even this judge. Just because this whole, whatever they've got going on is so messed up. You don't know how deep it goes, but we'll see. I was thrown off by him, like kind of, almost letting him off the hook a little bit. Well, maybe your drugs made you a different person. So I was like, this judge is sounding very friendly to Mr. Murdaugh. So I was like, I don't know this, but it sounds like he wants to do things the right way. And I guess this is a sentencing hearing, so this is kind of the judge's time to sort of let his feelings be known while he's putting out there, kind of giving the reason for the sentencing. So I guess it's not, it's fair to say that maybe he's trying to do things the right way. But also I was also thrown away by hearing another name that I haven't heard yet. Who the fuck is Harper?
That was the attorney. That was the attorney that represented him. Everybody came from a different county or somewhere else. To this judge is not from that county. Obviously,
you can't be.
Obviously, they needed to have it outside that. That's why he was like, everybody's been nice to me since I've been here and everything like that. So, and he wasn't actually being nice to him. He was being condescending. He basically, Alec had just said that I didn't do this and I'm innocent. Blah, 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 I never. He was like, well. Yeah, all right. The judge is like, yeah, all right. Okay. Well, maybe you think you didn't do it because you was on 50, 60, 80, whatever, opioids, but you did it. He was basically being very condescending about it. Okay. But I just thought that was very important to point out the fact that the judge kind of addressed, because he still feels like there's some I feel like he's looking at it from the aspect of those individuals that pick up law and become judges for the right reasons, right? Not every judge, not every lawyer gets into law to do for the right reasons. Most get into it for the monetary gain and the accolades or whatever the case may be. But this judge is speaking directly to that when he's talking directly at, I don't know if I'll say to, but talking at the attorney general by saying the things that he said. And I was like, now, okay, well, good for you, Judge. But he definitely does not care for Alex Murdaugh, as you'll see in the next minute or two of this, because he doesn't have a problem handing down this sentence with the quickness. So let's hear what the sentence was for those who didn't know what old Murdaugh got.
I can just imagine on that day, June 7th, when a lawyer is confronted and confesses to having stolen over $500,000 from a client. And he has a tiger like Mark Tinsley on his tail pursuing discovery in the case involving the death of Mallory Beach. And having a father, for the most part, on his deathbed. I could imagine, or really can't imagine, but I know it had to have been quite a bit going through your mind on that day. But amazingly, to have you come and testify that it was just another ordinary day, that my wife and son and I were out just enjoying life. Not credible, not believable. You can convince yourself about it, but obviously you have the inability to convince anyone else about that. So if you made any such arguments as a lawyer, you would lose every case of that, like that. Cases you will never have an opportunity to argue anymore, except perhaps your own as you sit in the Department of Corrections. Anything further?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Murdaugh, I sentence you to the State Department of Corrections on each of the murder indictments in the murder of your wife, Maggie Murdaugh. I sentence you for the term of the rest of your natural life for the murder of Paul Murdaugh, whom you probably loved so much. I sentence you to prison for murdering him for the rest of your natural life. Those sentences will run consecutive under the statute involving possession of a weapon during a violent.
All right, so he got 2 life sentences, 2 natural life sentences that run consecutively, which means that if somehow he dies and comes back to life, they'll have another sentence waiting for him for that second life.
Right back to jail.
I was like, consecutively, Judge? Really? Just run it concurrently. I mean, he's got natural life. He's never getting out of jail. I hate what it's so stupid to me when I hear judges give. I'm going to give you triple natural life. I only got 1 life to live, Judge.
Well, y'all know that judge is extra. He has his moment in the spotlight. The whole world is watching this case. He's like, I'm going to be eloquent and interesting today.
Oh, he was catty. He was very catty to me. He was like, I'm sure you loved your son, whom you murdered. Like, if you listen to him, all of his shit was like little shots. He was like, oh, you'll never be doing law for anyone again unless you do it for yourself while you're locked up in the Department of Corrections. Like he says, like everything was a shot. Like I was like, oh man, like just like hit him when he's down, ref. Hit him when he's down, judge. Like judge didn't care. Judge did not care. He was like, he told him, he was like, yo, he basically told him you're dumb. He was like, if this is the type of stuff that you were gonna do law with, you would have lost every case because you dumb. You're saying dumb shit. You're dumb. You're gonna be dumb. Like he was being very catty. But at the end of the day, he deserves every bit of what he got. Like catty or not. Like if the judge wanted to sit there and laugh at him and bust out into laughter, you deserve everything you got. You shot and killed your son and your wife, and you didn't just kill your son. From what I gathered in the doc, he shot him with a shotgun, point blank range, in the chest, and then walked up on him and shot him in the neck to like end him. So you blew off half of his face. Ooh, like that's like evil on a whole nother scale of evil. Like you just, and then you sit up there and you crying in front of the judge and all these people. Now, nobody believes you, sir. Nobody believes you. Like at this point. But
He's
anyway,
a total failure as a man. Every single thing that a man is supposed to be, he is not.
yeah, I was happy that the judge talked to him like he talked to him, and I was even happier to see him escorted into the Department of Corrections, which I'm sure he may have a lot of friends. He may have a lot of friends in there when he gets in there. He may have gotten some people lesser time. He may have put some people in there. Who knows? So but either way, it's a scary thing when people like this exist out here and you don't even know who the next person like that is going to be.
Now they gotta go get Buster though. Don't let Buster out there too long.
Yeah, don't let Buster out the hook.
Dirty too. I don't. Yeah, he was way too quiet. This documentary. He's dirty too.
That was going to be my last question, pretty much, and we could just run around the group real quick. Do you think Buster killed Stephen Smith? Tyrone, go. Yes or no?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Go get him.
Okay, go get him. What about you, Holly? You think Buster killed Stephen Smith?
Yeah, I think he had something to do with it, with his death.
Mm-hmm. Sarah?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, we can speculate all day. What are the facts of the case? We just don't know. Something shady went down for sure, and it's been kept a secret, and probably everything eventually will come out now, I imagine.
Yeah. What about you, Minnie?
I mean, speculation is speculation, but goddamn right. I think he killed him, and I think he killed him for the reasons that most dudes who were insecure as fuck would have killed him for. If you look at the story, he probably called them up. All his homeboys was listening to it. He probably called him baby or some shit, and then they got on his ass about it, and then he had to kill him because he had to prove that he's supposed to be a man. So I see exactly why he would have killed him, and I believe he did. Now, not just the baby Buster, get big old Buster too, because that motherfucker showed up at the hospital and was trying to get people to let him have their like speak for him as if they were their guardian. Oh, yeah. That's a charge. Take his ass to jail for that.
Yeah, Randolph. Yeah.
Maybe this whole story is about a crisis of masculinity.
Yeah.
Maybe the entire thing is that.
Even though Maggie ain't no good either. She was out there making fun of the motherfucker, talking about, we know what's gonna happen. They ain't gonna find her and shit. Fuck that bitch too. I'm sorry, I know she dead. God bless the dead, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That family had a lot of karma following them. Like it was.
Facts.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of karma, man. But let's wrap up the show with some must-watch TV. I got a couple of new things to add to the list that I added to the list for must-watch TV. I don't know about you guys, but I've already seen it. But we got Shazam. Fury of the Gods. It is out right now in movie theaters. I went to see it. I will say this, it is not bad. That's what I can say. It's not bad. It is definitely a kids. It is definitely for kids. It is definitely that genre. It is they're sticking to it. There are some fun parts. There might be even some sad parts. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I mean, it's DC, so do with
Temper
that.
your expectations.
Yeah, temper your expectations. Do with that what you will. But it wasn't bad. Now, on to something that I'm really excited about. And Tyrone, this is actually directed by one of your favorite directors. Swarm is directed by Donald Glover and Janine Neighbors. It is currently on Prime Video. It is I think a limited time series. I'm not sure. But I know it right now. I think it's got 8 episodes. So I don't know if there's going to be any more. I caught it late, but I did enjoy it, and I enjoyed it enough to show you guys. If you have not already seen it, here is the trailer.
If I got to do her makeup, I wouldn't be able to touch her face. My hands would be shaking so hard. You still tweeting from that old ass Swarm account?
Mm-hmm. She's not like everybody else. She knows what we're thinking and she gives it a name. She's a goddess. With your feet on the air and your head on the ground. I gotta grow up, Trey. I can't stay here with you. Why are you doing this to me?
I had to ask you to leave.
Try to strip and spin it. What do you think she's doing right now?
Who's your favorite artist? You're a killer bee. Part of the swarm. Talk about Nisha. He gets stung.
They are not your friends. Those are some crazy ass fans.
This is feeling a little bit sketchy.
You know, I always knew you were gonna be something. I was like, she's so weird. You got a spare in the trunk.
No! Damn, you got a dead body in there or something?
Who is your favorite artist?
You have to meet her one day. Promise me.
You will. I promise.
I don't know. I kind of like her sister better. She seems more like, spiritual.
So that is Swarm, and that is based around, I guess, the whole super fan of the Beehive, the Beyonce movement, the Beehive Swarm. I watched the whole series, or at least up until the 8th episode, and I don't know if it's episodic or not. But I will say this: it is very dark, and it is different. It is. We saw some of this, Tyrone in ATL, kind of the similar way that he kind of did it with the goof Goof movie, Goof episode. It's kind of similar to that. That's kind of how they. So the whole time you're like, is this real? Is this real? I don't know. Is this real? Is this real? So he does a really good job of that. It stars Damson Idris. Is that his name? Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, he's in that. But yeah, definitely the star is Dominique Fishback. She's incredible in it.
Yeah, Dominique Fishback is incredible. She's she takes you on a ride. She definitely takes you on a ride. So check that out if you get a chance. And we also have, it's back, Power Book 2 Ghost. Minnie, I put that up there specifically for you. I know how much you love Power, and I love it too. So go check this out. Very good series. And of course, we cannot leave the show without mentioning The Mandalorian. It is still on television. Tyrone's favorite show to hate.
Best Star Wars show of all time.
His favorite show to hate. But this is dropping every Wednesday. Go check it out on Disney Plus. And lastly, this dropped I think last week. Shadow and Bone season 2. I've been watching it. Guys, it's not bad. It's a pretty good show, actually. I like that. I like the guy with the little the I don't know his name. I don't know his name, but the guy with the dark eyes and the heavy eyebrows. Yeah, I don't know what his name is, but he plays really good. He plays his part on it. But Shadow and Bone season 2 is out for your viewing pleasure on Netflix. Go check it out. Very, very good series. If you're into fantasy and all of those types of things, magic and all that. All right. Anything on the way out, guys? Sarah, thank you so much for pulling up again and coming to join us for this conversation. It was great to have you on, and we can't wait to have you back again.
It was great to see you guys. Really, really nice. I want to hang out with all of you. Tyrone, I'm coming up to New York to run around the city with you. What do you say?
There you go.
Let me know when you're here.
There you go. There it is. All right. So, Sarah, do you have anything coming up on the horizon? Anything you want to know? Let anybody know about? Where anybody can follow you? Anything?
I always like it when people read the articles I write. I have 1 or 2 that come out every week, and on the link tree in my bio, it's easy to find them. And I really like to get feedback from smart people about the articles I write. So y'all are smart. So, keep the feedback coming.
Cool. Yeah. All right. And so they can just follow you at Sarah Kinbar.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cool. Well, thank you for joining us. And like I said, we cannot wait to have you back. Anybody else? Minnie, I know you got a show or two on the horizon, right?
Yeah. Very quickly, it is Blue Check Kinbar. By the way, don't get it twisted. First of all, I would like to say that MegaCon, I will be there with the Geeks Comedy all MegaCon long. So I'll be there. Look for the Geeks Comedy MegaCon. I will be there. Also, April 16th, it starts the Don Quixote versus Bad Bunny at the Shakespeare. I will be playing Sancho Panza. So I'll be doing a full-length play for 7 days, and then we're going to move it to another state. So look out for that. Shakespeare Theater, April 16th, Don Quixote versus Bad Bunny. An old Spanish play. Is very nice. It's really cool. I want people to come out.
Cool. Tyrone, anything?
Yeah, if you happen to be in the Bronx tonight, I'll be out there doing some comedy. So come on through and just living the dream in New York. And thank you.
Where in all of the Bronx, or
he didn't give us no location. He's like
walking around down the street. Just walk around the streets with a microphone, just telling jokes until somebody hits me in my face. No, I'll be at Clinton Hall is the venue for tonight.
Clinton Hall. All right.
Yeah, but thanks for joining, Sarah, and thank you for the conversation. And go get those Murdaughs. Murdaugh.
The murderers. I'll get the murderers.
Yeah. All of them.
All right. Well, if nobody else has anything, then that will wrap up our show for this week. If you are following us on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. If you are following us on any of our audio outlets, keep following us and keep liking us. And keep telling a friend, tell a friend. All right, but you can catch me and Tyrone this Saturday at 10 a.m. on Facebook or YouTube at the New Blurred Order, where we'll be talking about all things geeky, all things Mandalorian, all things fantasy, fiction, all of that. Let's go. So pull up to that show. Special shout out to the Financial Griot. Did you talk to them? All right, cool.
I
We'll talk
did.
about the show real
All
quick.
fun.
All right, so big shout out to them. Big shout out to all of the people in the comment section. Everybody out there subscribing to our channel and following us and supporting us. We appreciate it. But on behalf of myself, Tyrone Thornhill, Holly Noon, Minnie Morales, and our special guest host, Sarah Kinbar, we are the Multiverse Podcast. And until next week,